Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Project Eunoia. Thank you so much for being here with me and taking your time out of the day to just sit down and relax and just talk. So I just really wanted to thank all of you. I feel like I do it enough on social media, but just through the podcast, I just wanted to thank you guys for honestly being here with me and supporting me, because sometimes when people think of an idea and then they want to go through with it and they're very passionate about it, there's a lot of time when they're very discouraged and they're not sure what to do, and a lot of the time they decide not to go through with it at all. And you guys being here with me today till this day really makes me so happy. Every day I wake up and I just see you guys listening to the podcast and giving me compliments, even though I feel like I should be getting a lot of criticism. But here's my chance to kind of call you guys out. Give me some criticism. I don't get that enough. But if you truly love me and think I'm perfect and amazing, well, thank you. I think you're perfect and amazing, and the fact that you're here just means the world to me. So let's get on with the episode. I'm sure you guys are waiting. It's been a little bit. So today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about the power of reading. And the reading that matters the most is, let's say, you're reading nonfiction, fictional books, anything like that. Anything that draws you in, gives you a connection, and allows you to picture a new world, picture a new space of a whole universe that you never knew existed. And that's what I love about books. You know, the power of reading is so important, and it especially helps us a lot with, you know, our personal growth. Because let's say I'll give you guys a little thing about me. When I was young, I loved reading, and the thing that I would read every single day, believe it or not, was Twilight. You guys might laugh, but that got me into reading so much that I started reading everything, anything I can. You know, and I loved reading so much that it taught me the English language a lot. I wasn't born in Canada. I was born in Iraq, and it was my mom and my older sister that came here. So even when I was young, I was here when I was 5, and I didn't really know, I don't think I knew much English. I do remember trying to learn, but as I grew older, because I was 5, I started forgetting Arabic, which is terrible. You should never forget your native tongue. But as I said, when I was young, I just started reading so much, and that made my vocabulary, my knowledge in words grow. You know, and that's so important because words have so much power in them. And I just pat myself on the back. Any one of you that reads on a daily basis, just pat yourself on the back. You're doing an amazing job, because reading is so fundamental, you know, as RuPaul says. I'm just going to throw that in there. Reading is literally so important to you, to your health, to who you are as a human being. You know, keeping that connection with that imaginary world, as we say, if you read any fiction books. I loved reading fiction. It was the best. I would find the most amazing stories. And I read a lot of mystery and crime stories. And believe it or not, being the person who I am right now, I can't watch gore or anything. I'm being a hypocrite, but when I was young, I used to watch that on a daily basis. Okay. And I would read about it so much. And I know when I was in the hospital, I would read a lot of books as well. And before I met Dia, she would always see me reading, and that's what I was reading. I was reading like a crime book or something of that sort. Because you can't have phones, it just kind of gave me, or it forced me, I should say, to get back into reading. But, I feel like not a lot of people read these days. And when I do see people reading, it just amazes me because, there's still this imaginary world that we can create in our heads. We still have creativity. We still have that power to really train our brains and really hold ourselves accountable to how our growth is going to look like in the future. So when I was young, I read a lot, but then I grew older and I stopped reading as often, and I started realizing that I started forgetting a lot of words, and I stopped knowing how to spell as often. Till this day, I can barely spell the word physical. Like, I have to literally be like PHSY. Like, I'm still so confused. I need to Google this, but there's words that some of us can't even spell, and I find that hilarious. Because the thing is, when you're so open to learning about people and, let's say, reading books, that really opens a whole new world to you. And I think that's where I started realizing that there's so much that we don't know in this world. I would read Twilight, and then I would go and read some manga that I had, and then I would go read this crime novel. Book after book, it just opened up this world of never-ending possibility. The reason why I kind of brought reading into Project Eunoia is because I really think that it has such a strong effect on your mental health. You kind of get to see a lot of people who do struggle on a daily basis. Sometimes they kind of lock themselves away and take a book and just read. That's a way to escape. That's a way to allow yourself to stop thinking and start exploring a whole new world in your mind that we usually kind of push aside. And that's where our creativity comes from. That's where we really become human, in my opinion. I don't know. And that's why, if, let's say, you can't read, you may have a learning disability in any kind of way, or I know for the blind there's Braille, and it allows you to still have that child in you that you were when you were younger, reading your favorite fictional story. It could be anything. But nowadays, it feels like, as I said before, not a lot of people are reading. So a lot of people would kind of ask, what's so important about reading when I could just be doing something else with my time? I could be working, making money, I could just do anything. To be honest, you have so much time in your day to do a million things. So if you can pick up a book and just read for 10-15 minutes, that's a lot of reading. You could probably finish a chapter, honestly. And by finishing a chapter, in my opinion, I just keep going and going, and it ends up being hours later. That happens because your mind just is free. It's free of all the stuff all that negativity that comes on a daily basis that haunts you, you know, the stuff that you want to stop thinking about, but they keep coming back to you. There's processes where you can really train your mind into understanding itself, because your mind is so powerful. It's the strongest thing. And I say this all the time. If you think of something, you can do whatever you want. If you put your mind to it, honestly, this world is never going to end for you. It's going to be endless. There's so much opportunity that's going to come your way because you're open to growth. You're open to finding happiness in a way where you can find that in connections. And those connections can either be friendships, family, with pets, or honestly, if you like to be alone, a book. You know, that opens up a whole universe. That opens up a whole new mind. And you just get to learn more in terms of language. You know, language is so important. And I feel like that's why the fact that I don't know how to speak Arabic much is really bad. And I should 100% start learning more. But as long as you know the words of the dictionary, oh my gosh, there's like a whole new world of everything. I would usually say if someone gave me a book as a gift, that would be the best book ever, as long as it's about self-growth or a crime series. No more gore. Like, I can't deal with that. I'll literally have a panic attack. Yeah, and so honestly, reading is so important to your daily life because it really does help. It helps us navigate our way through everything that we live through. And without knowing what language is and without understanding how the world works, we end up lost and we end up trapped in just a one-sided or closed off universe. I know so many people that just stay in one place, and that's the only place they'll be in for months, for years. For me, I know what that feels like, because when I would say like 5 years ago at most, I was in my most horrible state, you know, so depressed, so tortured inside, and I never picked up a book. I never did. And till this day, now that I think about it, now that I'm reading books again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I read books so much, but I stopped reading. And now I'm reading again. But, you know, and that's where it comes from. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be reading books your whole life. You know, read a book here and then. Read a book at least once a month. You know, explore a whole new world. Escape from your daily life. Escape from your daily routines. Every repetition that you put into yourself will really either harm you or not really benefit you in a good way at all. There's progress in understanding the world, you know, and when you understand the world, you can imagine it as moving to the next level. You know, you're progressing. And I would say for me, I'm at level 5 out of a million. And you can think of life as a video game if you wanted to. Don't take that too literally. Okay, we only have one life, so that means don't do anything stupid or don't do anything that I wouldn't do. But there's only one life that you get to live. So why don't you just explore it? There's just so much out there that is so amazing. And I know there's so many people out there that have shown me this world. You know, I didn't do it all by myself. There's people who've recommended me books and people who have taken me places that I've never been before and just opened my eyes to a whole new world. And now I like go to these places on a daily basis and I read these books that they've shown me, and I do the utmost to at least stay educated, you know. And I feel like that's so important, is staying educated, understanding your surroundings, understanding yourself, and having clear intentions. Because when you have clear intentions on what you want to do, nothing can stop you at this point. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's why when we look at these celebrities, we completely worship, and people even worship characters in books. Like, books are sometimes or almost always taken out of context, you know. And that's why when we go to English class and they make us read Macbeth or whatever, and they're like, oh, what does this mean? And we'd be like, I'm pretty sure the author just meant that the sky is blue, you know. But at the same time, the sky's blue, but it also could mean the person is feeling blue or sad. And that's literally what I'm trying to get at, is like when you're going into English class, it just gets into this whole level of exploration of a book you literally give two shits about, you know. And at the end of the day, you feel like, oh, I read this book and I know what it's about now. And like, I know what Macbeth is. I know what To Kill a Mockingbird is, you know, because I was literally forced to read those. And I always think, like, when those opportunities come to you, it just shows you that there is so much to learn out there. And you know, when you read these self-growth books, they have so much wording in there that really makes you connect with it and makes you think that you're the person in that book. And that's why you put yourself in the person's shoe, the author that is writing the self-growth book, that you are allowing yourself to really take into your life and put it into every aspect that you do on a daily basis. You're allowing room for growth when you do all of that, you know. So when these opportunities come, when you're given the chance to read, you know, it could be anything. Read anything. Read a book. Literally, as soon as I started this episode, read a book, guys. Read anything. Reading is so important. I just can't stress that enough. I feel like I learned the most while I was reading, and I knew so much more. And with knowing so much more, it allowed me to be more open. And I think that's how we really strengthen our world, when people start educating themselves. And when I say educating themselves, is reading these self-help books and really taking initiative to put it into their life. Because let's say if I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and after that I was like, oh, okay, like what? But the thing is, I read that book and I'm like, holy shit, like I don't give a fuck. honestly, that's the power of books. So it took us a while to get here, but honestly, the thoughts that you have in your head, as I always say, are so powerful. So when you read a book, it allows you to strengthen that even more. It allows you to really grow yourself and kind of manipulate your brain into thinking that, yeah, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm awesome. I'm independent and I can do anything. And that's what I get. And it's different for everybody. It's different for each and every human being. Whatever you get from that book you're reading will connect with you one way or another. You will get that connection, and you will allow yourself to hold yourself accountable, because you can see your little bad self in that book that they're talking about, and you see, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be that person, obviously. So what can I do to improve myself? And this is where the reading comes in. And when you read these self-help books, they're really good to achieve that. I could say that because it helped me for sure. And it does help a lot of the people around me that I know that read a lot. So when you're reading and when you're thinking these thoughts and you're rewiring your brain, that's when it really starts. And you start exploring and taking initiative, putting it into your daily routine, having a morning routine, having a nightly routine, how you go to work, how you come back home. There's so much that you could do to really ease your mind and put forth a lot of action that can allow you to grow as a human being. If you can read, you have so much power. You guys don't understand the people who can't read right now, anyone with a learning disability, anyone who is blind and can't read, they wish, and that's why Braille, they've come out with Braille for anyone who is blind so they can read. And that's why reading is so important, because without it, we would be so lost, in my opinion. When you see the labels and the words that are written on buildings and that are written in your car and your phone, how do you work your day-to-day life? It's all based on words and in any kind of language. And that's why a lot of people struggle. Let's say if English isn't their first language, they'll need a translator or any type of translation that can give them that up, that can allow them to understand either that or put it in their own language. People need reading, and people need words, and people need letters. Letters are so important, and they're in every language. And when you read, oh my gosh, so many good things are happening. I mean, like, a lot of endorphins in you are just bursting in enjoyment, when you read. And that's what I love about it. That's how I feel when I read. I don't know about anyone else, but if any of you love reading, just let me know and recommend me a book. I'm trying to find a new book right now. But you guys understand that your day-to-day life is all revolved around reading something. It can be off your phone, whether you're literally just on like Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. Like, all of those have so many pictures involved in them, especially Snapchat and Instagram. But there's options to write still. Why do you think that's still so important in this world? Because we need to read. It's kind of obvious, but we really need to read. So that's why I say, please, if you want to, I have so many books that I know I could just recommend to you. So if you don't read that often, think of this as an opportunity of exploring a whole new world, of exploring yourself, because for me, let's say, oh my gosh, I wish I could read Twilight all over again from the very beginning and experience Twilight all over again. But I read that series, all the books, 10 times. I literally counted how many times I've read Twilight. And I would literally lock myself in my room with cookies right beside me, and I would just freaking read Twilight. I was obsessed. Okay. And so that's the thing. Reading Twilight just opened my mind to all these other books. I'm gonna just say the one good thing that came out of Twilight is like the books. Honestly, like, I'm gonna just say that. Enough about Twilight. Let's get into more important books, which are the self-help ones. And when I first started reading the self-help ones, I was like, holy shit, this is literally me. And the nice thing is about human beings is that we're very narcissistic. And when we see something that's about ourselves, we love to connect with it. And even if it's not about us, we just revolve our whole lives around it. And that's how we kind of manipulate our thoughts into reading horoscopes and being like, oh yeah, this is totally me. You know what I mean, you guys? That's what I mean. That's why a lot of people read that horoscope that they find on the internet or on the newspaper, and they just make it control their lives. They make it that their day. They're like, oh, this is what's gonna happen today. That's what's gonna happen today. It's because their mind literally made it like that, made it happen. And so now if you think about it, the fact that like you're thinking all these things and all these thoughts that go by, holy cow, like you have so much power to do whatever the hell you want. So why don't you just take this opportunity to really, instead of focus all your energy on a horoscope, put that into a self-help book, because it's literally the same. Okay? And the reason why I say it's literally the same is because it is. A self-help book is literally about how you are right now and how much greater you can become. And that's the nice thing, is like I learned so much from these types of books because I related to them, and I think obviously I feel like a lot of you would relate to it too. It's just a human instinct to relate to things and put that into our lives, and when you do, you are putting it into your life, and subconsciously you start manipulating your mind into reflecting those good days that you really want to happen. You know what I mean? So reading is so important. As I said, read a book at least once a month. Okay, start slow if you want. Read a kid's book. I always loved reading Robert Munsch books, so read a Robert Munsch book. Read anything. So here we are at the conclusion of the episode. Just read a damn book. Read a book. That's all I'm gonna say. Read a book. Okay. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And honestly, if I don't say it often, thank you. Because without you, I wouldn't be here. And I really think that the fact that you guys listen to me and that you guys literally take your time into sending me a message and telling me how great I am. Y'all don't understand. All of you stay in my head, and I think about you every single day and be like, holy shit, this amazing person just like gave me the best compliment ever. That's me every day. So like, you guys, I'm obsessed with you. I love you so much, and thank you is all I gotta say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you have an amazing day, whether you just started or ending it. I hope it's amazing. All right. I love you, and I'll see you in the next episode.